I'm sitting at my husband's desk today, and I'm going to take my glasses off so the glare from the ring light's not in them. Today I thought I would go over a list of, in my opinion, the essential things you need in your kitchen to be able to cook or bake just about anything. I'm sorry, y'all. This is not a very good angle, but it'll work. Anything from utensils to cookware. The things I think are necessities to have in your kitchen, like I said, to be able to cook or bake anything. So first, we're going to start with utensils. A pair of tongs. Now, you're going to notice that in my stuff, a lot of it is nicer things. That's because I have been collecting and upgrading for the last almost 22 years. Not 22 years, I'm only fixing to be 28. 12 years. Get your feet off of that. For the last 12 years. I started off with all of my cooking utensils being from Dollar Tree. I started off with the cheapest set of pots and pans I could find, and the cheapest cookie sheets and things like that that I could get my hands on. And I've had to start over 4 or 5 times. And that's just how it is. But, so here we go. A pair of tongs. These ones came from Walmart. I think they were like $6. They just got you push that in, they open, you pull it out, they lock shut, okay? Next is a silicone spatula. This came, did it come with, or did I buy it separately? I can't remember if this came with, or if I bought it separately with a set of Rachel Ray baking sheets that I don't even think I have anymore. Anyways, silicone spatula. I have a set like this that ranges all the way from this size, a little bit smaller, and a little bit smaller, and a little bit smaller, and I also have a set of Pioneer Woman, ones with the wooden handle, and this silicone part. I prefer all silicone because what I find is the ones with the wooden handle and the silicone spatula part, they separate, and gunk gets all in there and under there, and it's just so hard to keep it nice and clean and sanitary, so I just prefer, you know, the fully silicone spatulas. And you don't need a whole bunch of different sizes. One size is just fine. You can buy one individual and it'll be just fine. Okay. Let's see. A whisk. You need a whisk. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I prefer metal whisks. But like I said, you can get ones at Dollar Tree that are more plasticky, but they work just fine. So if you're just starting out, or you're on a budget and you're trying to get a kitchen set up, or you don't know where to start, what you need, go to your Dollar Tree, okay? And start there, alright? But a whisk, you need a ladle. This came with the old set of pots and pans from when I first got married 5.5 years ago. Just a regular old ladle. This is a slotted pasta spoon. You can also use this to dish up. I like the pasta spoons, and I do have a regular spoon shaped like this with just the slots, not these little grooves, that are for like scooping things like peas from a can, like when you heat them up on the stove and things like that. But one like this is 2-in-1. It serves for pasta and it serves for peas or green beans or corn or whatever also. So one of these. This also came with a set of pots and pans. A spatula. I grabbed my slotted spatula. It does not have to be slotted, but a spatula. This one is silicone. I bought it at Walmart for $1. Yeah, $1. I do have the same one that is not slotted, but you just need one spatula. You don't need a whole bunch. Necessity-wise, you just need one. Okay, now, I have 3 different wooden spoons here. Necessity-wise, like to be able to cook, you just need one. You just need one wooden one. I have this one that's more narrow and flat. Then this isn't all my wooden spoons. This one, I believe I got it either Dollar Tree or Family Dollar for $1 or $2. This is a Pioneer Woman set I got with a utensil holder for my stove on clearance for $7. It came with the porcelain utensil holder and like 5 or 6 wooden spoons. This is just more like a flat fat one with kind of a tapered top here. And then this is more of a traditional wooden spoon that also came with that Pioneer Woman one. A rolling pin. This is not actually a rolling pin, it's actually a paper towel holder, but it works as a rolling pin. If you are an avid baker, or if you want to get into baking, you need a rolling pin. I've never bought a rolling pin before, just so you know. Alright, now we're going to get into knives. Okay, there are 3 types of knives I think are absolute musts. The other ones are nice to have, but they're not necessary. So you have this one that's more of a long, skinny one, almost kind of like a steak knife. This one is good for peeling potatoes. That's all that comes to mind right now, but I use this one a lot. And then I have this one, which is more like a short, boxy type one. This one is good for like chopping potatoes, any type of vegetable, anything like that. And then I have a bigger kind of boxy style one, and this one is good for chopping meats and things like that. Okay. Now, as far as measuring goes, you have 2 different types of measuring vessels. That's what we're going to call them, measuring vessels. These right here, these all came in a set. I am missing my 3/4. I don't know where it is at the moment. I think it might be in my flour or sugar, but I'm missing it at the moment. So these all magnet together. I got this whole set. It goes all the way from 1/4 of a teaspoon to a 1 cup measure. Actually, I believe this is a 2 cup measure, this bottom one. So, and I got it at Walmart for $10. These right here are your teaspoon. It goes from 1/4 of a teaspoon to 2 tablespoons. You need these. I mean, not these necessarily, but you need like little teaspoon and tablespoon measuring cups, and I recommend to at least have a 1/4, 1/2, and 1 teaspoon, and then a 1 tablespoon. Yeah, and then a 1 tablespoon. Those are the ones I absolutely recommend you have on these. Okay. The measuring cup portion of this goes from 1/4 of a cup all the way to, so it's 1/4, 1/3, 1/2, 2/3, and 1 cup. No, 3/4, then 1 cup, because I forgot I'm missing my 3/4 cup. I just threw that on the floor. Okay. So, I recommend you having from 1/4 all the way up to 1 cup. Okay, that's what I recommend you having. Mine also came with a 1/2 cup and a 2 cup. I recommend those. Okay. Then you also have your liquid measure. I have this in a 1 cup, which is this one. See, it's just a 1 cup. I also have it in a 2 cup and a 4 cup measure. I need to replace my 2 cup and my 4 cup because all of this red writing has rubbed off and you can't really see it, but it is what it is. So I recommend a liquid measure. Also, a mixing bowl. You don't need a whole set of mixing bowls. You don't need, you know, pretty fancy ones. These ones, I have a whole set of them, and they actually came, this part around the bottom was all painted and colored. All the paints come off, you know, so, and I prefer metal mixing bowls. So you just need 1 mixing bowl. I recommend a large one, not a small one, because that way if you just have 1 large one, you can do smaller things in it, and you can do bigger things like bread and stuff in it. This isn't my biggest one, but it's just the one I grabbed. Let's set that off to the side. Okay, another thing that I highly recommend you having is a hand mixer. Okay? This can do anything a stand mixer can do. You just have to use a little bit more oomph. You have to do more work. You have to put out more work. I do not prefer a stand mixer. I prefer a hand mixer, and I recommend everybody have one of these. That's good for doing what is technically not considered mashed potatoes. It is considered creamed potatoes because you're technically not mashing them, but you can do that. You can make cookies. You can make your box cakes and brownies. You can make homemade brownies, homemade cakes. You can use it to shred chicken, pork. You can do a lot with this, so I recommend a hand mixer. I just have, I think it's called the Black & Decker Helix. And this one costs like $35. You can get them at places like Family Dollar, Fred's, if y'all have that around there. Probably even Big Lots for like $10. You don't have to spend a lot. And before I got this one, the one that I had was a $10 one that I bought 5.5 years ago when I got married, and I just got that one for Christmas this past year. And my other ones still work perfectly fine. Okay, so now the question is, do we want to go on to pots and pans or bakeware? And I think since the bakeware is closest, we're going to start with that. Okay. Okay, for starters, a loaf pan. Now, this isn't a necessity, really. I mean, if you're not going to be making like meatloaves or breads, you don't need this. But I think, for me, in my house, this is a necessity. This is a Nordic ware that I got on clearance for $2 at Walmart a few months ago. But they have them for like, cheap ones for like $5. You don't have to start out with the nicest things. And to be honest, a lot of these things that I have, I did get on clearance for a good price. So, a loaf pan, a baking sheet. I believe this is considered a quarter sheet pan, I believe. I have this one, which is the smallest one, and then I have a half sheet pan, and then I have a full sheet pan. But the small ones are just fine, as long as, you know, you're only cooking for a few people. If you do have a bigger family, I do recommend getting, a full sheet pan. But these are good for baking your meats on, baking cookies on, roasting vegetables on, and all that kind of stuff. So this is a necessity. Okay. Now we're going to go to glassware. Okay. Now these ones I'm about to show you I haven't used in a while because I've been using my smaller Pioneer Woman casserole dish instead of these. And I haven't been baking like a bunch of brownies and cakes, so I haven't been using these. I've been doing more like cookies and pies and things lately. So this is an 8x8, or you can get a 9x9. It doesn't really matter. There's fingerprints and stuff all over this. I need to wipe it down. This is an 8x8. I do recommend you have the smaller one. It's good for doing like brownies. And really that's all I use the smaller one for, is like desserts, lemon bars, which is something I want to make with you guys, and things like that. I don't really use this for like everyday dinner type stuff. This is my 9x13. And I do not use Pyrex, you guys. This is Anchor. I do not use Pyrex because I have had too many of them just randomly explode on me. Literally one time I had one. I had used it the night before. I had let it cool off for a few hours. I rinsed it off in the sink and set it on the counter to wash the next day. And the next day I woke up. It was sitting on my counter. I was drinking my cup of coffee and it just randomly exploded. It was Pyrex. So I just switched to Anchor, and like I said, Anchor is cheaper than Pyrex, and you don't have to have the most expensive. This one works just fine. I use this one for making things like my Rotel chicken casserole. I use it for cakes. I'm trying to think of what else I'm making here. like au gratin potatoes, scallop potatoes, things like this I make in here. So, also, need one of those. A muffin tin. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't eat muffins. I don't make cupcakes. What do I need a muffin tin for? These are good to make little mini quiches, little mini meatballs. This is Paula Deen, and these normally run about 40 bucks. But one of a grocery store close to me, they moved, and when they were getting ready to move, they put a lot of their stuff on clearance, and I got this Paula Deen muffin tin for $4 on clearance, just because they were getting ready to move and they didn't want to move a bunch of stuff. So like I said, this can be used to make mini quiches, it can be used to make mini meatloafs, muffins, cupcakes. You can do a lot of things with a muffin tin, so I really recommend having. You can make mini cheesecakes, all sorts of things. Really recommend having one of these. Oh, and something I didn't bring in here because it's way too heavy and I'm going to mention it now, is a cast iron. I highly recommend having a cast iron because you can take it from the stovetop to the oven with no problem. And it's good for, like, say you want a steak and it's the middle of winter and it's 10 degrees outside and you don't want to grill a steak. Cooking a steak in a cast iron with a little bit of butter and garlic, searing it on both sides for just like 30 seconds each, and then sticking it in the oven for like 5 to 10 minutes. Best steak you'll ever have in your life, not cooked on a grill, so I recommend a cast iron. Next is a pie plate. Because you can do a lot of things with the pie plate that is not necessarily pie. I make this thing called pasty pie. I have a video on my channel about it. If I remember, I'll link it in the description and put it in the cards. But you can also do quiche in here. I also like to use these when I'm dredging meat to put my flour or dry ingredients in. I actually have 2 of these, and I also use one for the wet ingredients too, because it gives you more surface area to work with so you don't feel so cramped. My cat just jumped in my lap. So I highly recommend a pie plate. Okay, so now we're going to move on to actual cookware. So let's start with pots. I recommend that you have at least 2 different size pots. One big one, also known as a stock pot. I don't know how big this one is. These are my new ones I got for Mother's Day. Let me find the lid. There you go. And I do recommend, especially with your larger pots, that you get one with a lid. Aren't these beautiful? You do not have to. This set came with 2 pots, 3 skillets, 3 lids. So let's see, 2 pots, 3 skillets, 3 lids. Yeah. 2 pots, 3 skillets, and 3 lids. And then it also came with some pot holders for $97 at Walmart. This was my Mother's Day gift. I've been eyeing it for a year, and I kept saying, no, you know, you don't need it. Yours still work perfectly fine. And then my grandma, she just about a month ago was telling me she needed new pots and pans, and so she went and she bought her some cheap ones at Walmart. And my grandma also loves to cook. It's where I learned a lot of my stuff from. And so I used helping her as an excuse to get new pots and pans. Since my other ones that I have, my Tefal ones, are still in excellent condition, I told my husband, if you get me these new pots and pans for Mother's Day, I'm going to give my grandma my other nice set, because she deserves to have a nice set. She just retired a couple years ago, and she deserves a nice set of cookware. So I'm giving her my old ones. I know they're not brand new, and I could have just bought these and gave them to her, but she wouldn't have taken them. So I'm going to give her my old ones. Anyways, so a large stock pot with a lid. This is good for pastas and soups. The other size pot I recommend is a medium size pot. This is good for melting down chocolates, doing your canned vegetables, steamed vegetables. What else can we do in here? Let's see. I'm trying to think. My brain is dead right now. Oatmeal. Macaroni and cheese, things like that. That's what this is good for. Now, as far as skillets go, I do have one that doesn't match the set because it didn't come with the set. I need to either look online or look at my Walmart and see if they have one that matches the set. A smaller skillet. These are good for fried eggs. I think this might be like a 6-inch skillet. I'm not really sure. 8-inch, I don't know. But a small one. You know. This is good for like eggs. What else? My brain is so dead right now, you guys. Omelets. If you're just sauteing up some peppers or onions or celery for a soup in the crock pot or something like this, a small skillet is good for that. I also recommend a medium-sized skillet. This is probably closer to an 8 or 10-inch skillet. I don't know, I'm not good with measurements, you guys, but this is a medium-sized skillet. This one is good for if you're just cooking a small amount of bacon, pancakes, if you're frying up ham for a sandwich, if you're doing like a pound of ground beef for some spaghetti, things like that. That's what this is good for. And then I recommend having a large skillet. This is, does it tell me on the back? No, it doesn't. I would say this is probably a 12-inch, maybe, skillet. And, of course, it's seen better days. This one is probably, see, my Tefal ones are 2 or 3 years old. This one's probably close to 4 or 5 years old. And I like having this for when I'm making bigger breakfasts, so for bacon, eggs. I also like having this for if I'm doing fried meatballs and then putting them in the pasta on the stove. I like having something like this. I do also recommend having a larger one like this with higher walls. And I'll show you one similar here in just a minute, but yes. I do believe you need all 3 of those size skillets. I believe those are necessities. And this is what I haven't decided if I'm going to refer to it as a skillet or a pillet. But it's like a skillet pot, okay? So it's more shallow than a pot and kind of more like a skillet. I think this is a necessity for things like pasta sauce, gravy, anytime you're frying anything, because it has the high walls to kind of help keep oil from, it helps less oil spread all over your stove. What else do I use? Oh, I use a pot. I need to see if they have a bigger one for my stir fries and things, and like my fried rice. But yes, a whatever we're gonna call this, a pillet or a skillet. I don't know. But yes, okay. Guys, now that I'm in my kitchen putting everything away, I forgot one thing that is a necessity, and that is a can opener. You gotta have a can opener, right? Forgot it. I'm gonna try to insert this before I do the outro, but I'll let you know I forgot it. I'm not gonna cut that part out. Here you go. Can opener, you need one. I got this KitchenAid one at Big Lots for $5, and it's the best can opener I've ever had. In a 2-year span, we went through about 8 can openers, and I've had this can opener for 3 years now, so it's a good can opener. All right. I think we've been through everything. So, that is everything I think you absolutely need to have a kitchen where you are prepared to try any recipe you come across. Okay? So that's going to be it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it knowledgeable. And I hope this helps you in some way, shape, or form, especially if you know you're just starting out, moving out on your own, and wanting to know what you absolutely need in your kitchen to cook with. I believe these are the necessities, and I believe if you went to places like Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, Walmart, Big Lots, you could probably get all of these items for less than like $150, $200. I really do believe that. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.